Let's focus on your to-do list.
Pick up my grease and the cleaners.
Buy the hairspray I like.
Yes, sir. And mail the parcel for my sister. Yes, ma'am. Viva's cooking is awful. She's forgetful. She's awkward. Clumsy. Stupid. She's an airhead.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Stacy, your host for tonight. Welcome all for tuning in for this broadcast. Hope everyone is doing fine and safe at home. We are doing this series of program because JPO think this will be able to help in lifting up everyone's spirit in this long period of lockdown. Please help us to do the polling. Your feedbacks are needed and very appreciated. If you have any questions to ask, please type them in Q&A below. If you're watching it from YouTube, please type your questions in the chat. Questions will be answered after the interview with our speaker. JPO are very honored to be able to invite Stefanie as our special guest for tonight. Hailed by Straits Times as a singer who possesses a voice with remarkable flexibility and a truly commanding musical presence. Stefanie Quintin-Avila's repertoire ranged from Renaissance to contemporary music, including many world premieres. She attended the Vietcong Academy for Earthly Music in Tübingen, Germany, and studied with early music specialist Lieutenant Lee Santana and soprano Sylvia Rubens. She also collaborated and performed with classical guitarist Karsten Link, specializing in the performance of English airs and German lied. She has performed as a soloist in various international festivals. She has been featured in concerts and performances with the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra, Asia Traditional Orchestra, Singapore Symphony Orchestra, Hong Kong Bach Choir and Orchestra, and the Hong Kong New Music Ensemble. She's a recipient of Delphic Lila Award of Traditional Music at the 3rd International Junior Delphic Games, 2007. She graduated with a degree in vocal pedagogy and vocal performance cum laude from the University of Philippines College of Music. Our JPO family attendees are mostly primary, secondary, college students, their parents, and teachers. At the end, we believe that all the sharing and knowledge of information would be truly invaluable to them. Hello, Stefanie. How are you doing?
Hi. Thank you so much for
Hi.
that introduction. And thank
You're
you so much
welcome.
for inviting me and for having me here tonight.
You're welcome. So, how's the Philippines?
We still have a lot of COVID cases here in the Philippines, but hopefully we will be able to eliminate the virus in
Mm,
a few months, or hopefully next month, because we're all still
yeah.
in lockdown right now. We're all in quarantine. So yeah, we're hoping for the best.
Yes, we all hope for the best. All right, so your topic today is performing your best under pressure.
Mhm.
Before we start the interview, could you briefly tell us about the video?
So the videos that I picked from are from three different performances or performance settings. The first one is a competition. The second is from a concert, and the third one is from an opera performance. So the first video is from a competition that I joined in 2017. It's called the International Vocal Competition, or IVC, and it was held in 's-Hertogenbosch, Netherlands. In
Oh.
the video, I was singing a compulsory piece entitled Lunam Nequidem Lunam by opera singer and composer Monique Cruz. And this was based on a triptych painting by Dutch painter Hieronymus Bosch. So before I move on, if there are singers out there, um, I highly recommend for you to join this competition, because they certainly they certainly give performance opportunities to the competitors even after the competition. Like, this competition has been instrumental in launching the careers of various famous international singers like Priti Yende and Janine de Beek. Um, I didn't win, so that pretty much explains why I'm not famous.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, um, the video was from my very first voice competition in the professional level, and I remember being so nervous, and my throat was so dry. And
Mm.
right before I entered the stage, I could hear other competitors, singing so perfectly backstage. And I couldn't help but ask myself, like, what am I doing here? And
Mm.
then I started doubting myself that, you know, can I really do this? But I couldn't back out, because I flew thousands of miles from the Philippines to the Netherlands, and it would be such a waste of time and energy and money if I backed out. So I figured that there's no way to go but forward. So yeah, on to my next video, the second video. I was singing for the Baroque Festival of the Singapore Symphony Orchestra in 2018. And I remember, even before going to Singapore, I was already stressed, because first, it's my first time to perform with SSO. Second, it's my first time to perform at the Victoria Concert Hall. Third, I will be working with the chief conductor of the BBC Singers, conductor Sophie Janin. And on top of it all, I lost my voice a week
Oh.
before the concert. And so, yeah, I was so stressed and nervous, but thankfully, when I got there, my I got support from my former music theory teacher, who is now the SSO Symphony Chorus conductor, Professor Eugenice Palaruan. And he bought me vitamins and anti-inflammatory medicine for my performance. And thankfully, I had the grit to continue with my performance, even if I
Mm.
was feeling under the weather.
Mm.
And yeah, my the last video that I showed, is from the premiere of a new chamber opera commissioned by the Asia Society in Hong Kong. The music was composed by American composer Eli Marshall, and the libretto was by Hong Konger Candice Chong. I was very fortunate to be given the opportunity to do the lead role. Um, I played the role of a Filipina domestic helper, and this opera is all about the plight of domestic helpers and migrant workers in Hong Kong. And in the days leading to the premiere, I kept thinking about what the critics might say. And
Mm.
since it's a premiere, our audience is comprised of the high society of Hong Kong, the diplomatic corps, the various artists, music critics, journalists.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was so worried about what people will say about my performance. And aside from that, since it's a new work, I was so worried about giving justice to the music that I will be performing. And so, in all of these three performance settings, um, one thing was common. I was stressed and nervous. And thankfully, I was able to overcome my nervousness and I was able to get through all of my performances.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about that you overcame with nervousness, and
Mhm.
that's not an easy thing to do. So could you tell us how you deal with your nervousness?
Um, People usually say relax, but
Mm.
in truth, we really don't know how to relax.
Yes.
So instead of relaxing, I'd say embrace the stress. Yeah. Um, we can deny the problems of stress in performance, or we can face them and even learn to embrace them. I believe that every musician should work on performing well under pressure and not just learning how to beat their nerves, but musicians should learn how to make their nerves work for them. And as I've said, we should acknowledge the stress that we're feeling before and during a performance because it doesn't matter how talented you are or how musical you are or how virtuosic you are
Mm.
or how many times you have performed on stage because sorry stress can make you or break you
Mm.
um, for a while. Yeah, when the pressure is on, um, all performances fall neatly into three categories. The first is suboptimal performance, second optimal performance, and the third is peak performance. In suboptimal performance, you are falling far short of your genuine capabilities. Like, this is what you can do, but this was the level of your performance. And the second one is optimal performance, wherein you are performing quite well, though not necessarily at the absolute height of your potential. Um, Most of the successful performers do most of their performances at the optimal level, and it's perfectly fine. It's just fine. And the third category is peak performance, wherein you have attained the ever elusive ideal, wherein everything magically comes together and the music that came out of you was perfect
Mm.
and all of your goals in the piece were attained. I think all of the musicians wish that we could perform at this elevated state, but
Mm.
we can't get there without addressing the negative effects of stress.
Right. So, what are the negative effects of stress, and how does it manifest sense in a performance?
First, we have to understand what stress is. Stress is a human condition that is integral to the structure and functioning of our bodies and minds. It is anything real or imagined danger, threat, fear, surprise, shock, basically anything that puts extra pressure on you. What you
Mm.
feel under stress may be unwelcome, but it's normal. All of it is normal. So you have here, we have here on our screens the stress model that I got from one of my favorite books on peak performance. This stress model shows you the situational stressors and your response to those stressors and the consequences. So let me discuss first the real danger as a stressor. So what is an example of a real danger? For orchestra musicians, when you arrive on stage and then you can't seem to find your piece and it's not in your music stand and you have an upcoming solo part, that is a real danger. You are in real danger, my friend. uh, Thankfully, this never happened to me because I'm not part of an orchestra. But since I usually sing new music, I use my iPad and I don't memorize the pieces. So I experienced my iPad stopping to function in the middle of a
Oh
performance.
no.
And I was about to enter. So you can just imagine me pressing the home button many times. But thankfully, it worked right before my entrance. Yeah,
Wow.
that was very scary. So the second stressor is the imagined danger. For example, when you're thinking that you might not be able to enter in your part in the orchestra, or you might lose track of counting. Um, these are the times when you have to be very careful in imagining stuff because it might become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like if you imagine yourself committing a mistake in the performance, the next thing you know is that you're actually committing that mistake. So yeah, be
Yeah.
careful of what you imagine. Next stressor is competitive environments. I've shared to you a while ago my experience in Netherlands when I competed in IVC. This is when you're about to compete and you can hear the musical prodigy practicing in the other room, and then you doubt your capabilities immediately. So also when you're in a competitive environment, you have this feeling that you have to win or you have to prove yourself. Yeah, that's one of the stressors. And the last stressor that is here in our stress model is the ambiguous or unknown situation, wherein you are stressing about the stress that is about to come. I repeat, you're stressing about the stress that is about to come. Um, that I am a fine example of that one. I always stress about
What?
anything. Yeah. Anything. Yeah. Like if I have a performance 1 month from now, I'm already panicking. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Wait, so the
So when
unknown situations and the imagined dangers, is it like a similar thing? You're worrying about the future?
the real danger is in the present. Yeah. It's the
The
actual thing.
imagined, oh,
Yeah.
so
But
the
the
imagined
imagined,
dangers are
yeah, you're already
okay.
thinking about the future. You're anticipating things to happen. Yeah. So those are the stressors. And when you're in these situations, the negative effects of stress tend to manifest in two ways: physical and mental or psychological response. The physical response is increased heart rate. We all know this feeling, like our hearts are beating so
Yes.
fast. Yeah. And changes in respiration that happens so often to singers. Like even if we have practiced a 10 measure line with our full breath capacity, when we get nervous, we cut it down to half. So, yeah, because we can't breathe properly. And sometimes we also have facial cramps wherein we lose oxygen, so we can't move our face that much or we can't move our mouth quite well enough. Yeah, I experienced that quite a lot when I'm nervous.
Oh.
Another response is muscle tension. That's very evident in almost all of the musicians when they get nervous. Feeling unsteady, increased perspiration, Um, this happens too much with uh, string players, I think. Like my husband, he is a guitarist, and he told me that when he gets nervous, his hands are all sweaty. It's as if it's
Mm,
dripping, dripping with,
mm,
yeah, sweat. And the psychological response that we usually have when we're stressed or feeling confused, loss of focus, yeah, we can't think straight, mental rigidity. This is when we're not flexible towards other people, may it be their ideas or actions. Like when you're performing with an ensemble, you're insisting your own tempo. And yeah, that's a
mm.
fine example of mental rigidity brought about by stress. We also have inner directed attention. This is when we draw on our own memory and knowledge and anticipate future events based on what we already know. For example, you forgot some parts of your piece in a previous performance and you're anticipating that you might forget that same part again in your current performance.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's almost the same with the imagined danger.
mm,
Yeah. Another psychological response is the tunnel vision. Thankfully, I never experienced this, but there are some who lose their peripheral vision and they only retain their central vision. And this
oh,
causes them to panic. Yeah. So um, if you experience this, ask help immediately because this is not a good thing
mm,
to have. Yeah.
mm,
All of these responses result to a suboptimal performance when we do not handle stress well. So, yeah, you can screenshot this stress model if you want to eliminate stress in your life. Yeah.
mm. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So before I move on to next question, I would like to say if you're watching it from YouTube, you can, if you have any questions to ask to our guest speaker, you can type them in the chat and she will be answering the question after all this interview.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, what is the most persistent manifestation of stress in musicians, particularly?
Most musicians automatically brace and tighten up under stress.
Mm,
Um, Muscle tension poses the greatest threat to a musician's performance. We all know that tight muscles result to a poor performance, and we all know that good performances are almost always the result of relatively relaxed muscles. So I have here a picture of a yogi. Do you do yoga, Stacy?
no, but similar kind of.
Tai Chi or something?
Sorry?
Tai Chi?
No,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
stretching.
Anyway, a lot of studies show that doing yoga will really help eliminate stress. Yeah. And
Mm.
I have here this picture. I love this picture because you are a relaxed musician if you get the tatchet part when you're not playing anything in the orchestra. You're relaxed. Not if not if you have an upcoming solo part after 400 measures of rests. That's hard. You're not relaxed if that happens to you. Yeah. So for us singers, when we're stressed, we tend to tighten up in the very muscles
Mm,
we need to keep most relaxed: our throat, our shoulders, and in other areas associated with breathing. For instrumentalists, yeah, you get sweaty hands and your hands get cold. And I'm not sure with wind players, do their lips get tensed as well? If they do, please do leave a comment or ask us in the chat box. Yeah. So for the musicians out there struggling with nervousness, also known as stress, I have here a list which you can screenshot. This is for you to identify the places where you hold your tension when you're under extreme pressure. Like which of your muscles tighten. And once you've identified it, note that these are your key muscles. These muscles are the ones you need to keep relaxed in order to perform well. Like for me, my key muscles are my neck, my jaw, my throat, my face, and my shoulders. So every time I have a performance, before going on stage, I check my key muscles. So what you can do is have this list on your phone and do a body scan, check if your muscles are relaxed from head to toe. And what I usually do is count from 1 to 10 per muscle while breathing deeply. Yeah.
Okay, so you talked about physical manifestation of stress. How about the persistent psychological manifestations of stress in musicians?
So I have here, I have prepared something for you, like the mental effects of stress. Usually, funny things happen in our minds under stress. Usually, everything speeds up, and the faster your mind goes, the less efficient it becomes, and the more scattered your thoughts are. And this results to memory lapses, confusion, and major problems in focusing your attention. Another common manifestation of stress is self-criticism. I think all of the musicians criticize themselves so much. I've never met a musician who's not hard on themselves. So yeah.
Yes.
But under pressure, you may judge yourself more harshly. You remember your worst performances. You recall the insults hurled at you or the insults you hurled at yourself. And stress can also bring on negative thought patterns like obsessing about results. Like, I have to please my teacher. I have to do well. I have to win this competition. I have to be the best in this field, etc., etc. And yeah, we always obsess about the results. And stress can also cause a number of attentional problems, which take your focus away from your performance to other times and places. For example, you become hypersensitive to internal conditions. Like my throat is so dry, my throat is itchy, my hands are all sweaty, and then next thing you know, you missed your entrance because you're not focused. Another example is your mind may wander while performing. This happens to me a lot. Like I'm thinking of what will I eat for dinner? Yeah, my mind wanders too much while I'm performing, and that will automatically result to a suboptimal performance. Another example is when you're performing, you're thinking about what other people might be thinking. You think about your teacher, your audience, your friends, your fellow performers, basically anyone whose approval you crave for. You might even be looking for their facial expressions, like, are they smiling? Are they irked? Are they laughing at me? So yeah, those are the effects of stress under extreme pressure.
Right. Okay, so how do you address stress in a high pressure environment?
Yeah, I'll be sharing with you what I learned from a book, from my favorite book. on peak performance. It's entitled Performance Success, Performing Your Best Under Pressure. That's obviously where I got the title of my topic. It's a book by Dr. Don Green. He's a peak performance psychologist who helped a lot of athletes and musicians in their crafts. His musician clients got jobs in top tier orchestras, and almost all of his clients are doing well in their chosen careers. So, here are some essential skills for optimal performance. There are actually 7 in his book, but I only picked 3. These factors integrally support what you do and how you do it. So the first one is poise, second is determination, and mental outlook. So poise is the first essential skill for optimal performance. We all know poise when we see it. It seems to come naturally to some performers, but if you take the quality of poise apart, you learn that it comprises tangible elements: your reaction to pressure and your ability to control your energy levels. Performing well takes a certain amount of energy. So rather than describing this heightened state as nervousness, I think it's best to use the word activation, which is much more positive and helpful term. So every time you feel nervous, don't tell yourself that you're nervous. Just tell yourself that, hey, I'm activated. Yeah. And you should also be able to know your energy level for each setting. You should know your energy level when you rehearse, when you perform, and when you do auditions. Your energy level during rehearsals should be almost the same as your energy level during a performance, because there are lots of factors in a performance. Your venue, for example, you're in a big hall, you have lots of audience, the acoustics is much different than your rehearsal space, and of course the added adrenaline. If your energy level in a rehearsal is far from your performance energy level, the tendency is that you'll have a hard time managing your energy and matching it, and it will eventually lead to a suboptimal performance. I remember my teachers way back in grade school, they kept telling me to rehearse as if I was performing. They even had a phrase for it: performance level. They kept screaming that when I was young. Yeah, because I sang in a choir, and our conductor kept telling us to rehearse as if we were performing. Yeah. But of course, we also have to acknowledge the different personalities of musicians. Some are introverts and some are extroverts. Depending on what your personality is, you have to know the energy level that accompanies your best performances. Like, first, do you perform well when you're positively excited? Do you perform well when you're between pumped and calm? Or do you perform well when you're very relaxed? So try to remember the instances wherein you performed your best and try to reach that energy level every time you perform. So if you perform well when you're positively excited, but you're feeling down on the day of a performance, you have to do physical exercises to pump the energy level up. But if you're the kind of person who performs well when you're very relaxed, but on the day of your performance, you get so nervous, you have to learn how to regulate your energy level under pressure through the process of centering. Yeah, this is a focusing strategy that helps performers channel energy productively under extreme circumstances. The moment that I started using this focusing strategy, I noticed that my performances were a lot better. My goals in my performances were achieved. And so, yeah, if you're the kind of musician who gets so nervous before entering the stage, you have to do this process. And I will go through the process step by step. Don't worry. So there are steps which you may want to screenshot in order to achieve this strategy. First, you should form your clear intention in your head. Like you should state your goal in precise terms. For me, the best performances that I've had are the ones that are well planned, wherein the nuances of each line and the corresponding actions that I'll do in my performance are very clear in my head. You have to remember that hazy mental pictures produce hazy results. So yeah, always form a clear intention in your head. So after having a clear intention in your head, you have to pick a focus point or focal point. It is important for us musicians to have a sound check in the venue where we are performing, not only because of audio balancing, but also because we can visualize and imagine our performance in the venue. So during your tech rehearsal, pick a precise spot in the auditorium or hall, or if it's an open space, pick a precise spot. It can be a chair in the middle, a column, a post, a banner, anything that you see, just pick a precise spot and make sure that before you enter the stage, you have visualized where you will be standing and imagine yourself performing towards that focus point that you picked during tech rehearsal. Yeah. So after picking a focus point, try to close your eyes and focus on your breathing and become fully mindful of your breathing. For us singers, we do the diaphragmatic breathing or the abdominal breathing. Am I being too technical? Just let me know.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So you have to breathe slowly in order to calm your nerves. Breathe slowly and deeply throughout your entire torso. Remember to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you inhale, you allow your body to fill gently with air until your breathing is slow and deep. And you have to imagine your focus point. And when you regulate that breath, that's when you slowly open your eyes, gazing towards your focus point. So after focusing on your breathing, you scan for excess tension and release it. You have to monitor your key muscles, which I have tackled a while ago, because under high stress, performers get overloaded and don't pay attention to muscle tension. Believe me, it can get worse. That's why it is so critical in stressful situations to continually monitor your key muscles. The simple process of checking them leads to releasing tension. And as you continue to breathe fully, you have to begin to scan your body for tension, especially your key muscles. How do you do this? On each inhale, just check one area and then breathe out any tension you find on the exhale. And just continue doing this until all your key muscles are relatively relaxed and ready to function well. The next thing that you have to do is to find your center. So where is your center? Your center is approximately 2 inches below your navel. This is your center of gravity, and this is the center of your body. So by focusing your energy down, you are also going towards a place of stillness, not up where you can easily tense up. The idea is to have a solid foundation from your waist down, and you have to be grounded and stable. For singers, we call this our support. You know, when we find our center in in the abdominal area. So when we're under stress, our center of gravity goes up. Ugh. You can see this in singers who get into trouble with their high notes, specifically sopranos and tenors. Because, you'll see us go up when we get stressed and when we reach for high notes, and we tend to go up on our toes, and eventually we lose our balance, our overall balance. So finally, after finding your center, you have to direct your energy, wherein you have to allow the energy to go out in a flowing motion from your center to your focal point. And then you can narrow and intensify that energy like a laser beam. That's what I imagine every time I do this strategy. Yeah. You narrow and intensify it like a laser beam and direct it to your focal point. And once I gain my momentum when I perform, I can easily pan from left to right. That's when I gain momentum, and that's when I am feeling very relaxed. But not until I feel relaxed, I don't move yet. Once I feel relaxed, that's when I pan from left to right when I perform during a concert. So now that I've shared with you the centering technique, try to practice it daily or include it in your daily routine and tasks. Let centering become a part of your pre-concert routine, just like tuning, warming up, stretching. And then when you've mastered this technique, you can take it with you to high pressure situations. Yeah. The second essential skill for optimal performance is determination. Yes, being determined is a skill that we should learn. So, determination is your inner drive and the strength of your resolve to do your best. When you're determined to have an optimal performance, you also have to be committed to do your best. You can't just back out. You can't just back out, and you should not let your inner voice falter and crush your will to succeed in your performance. They always say that what you think is what you get, and I strongly believe in this. There were a lot of times when I imagined myself committing mistakes in a performance, and it eventually became a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what you project for yourself really has everything to do with how things will ultimately unfold. That's why the next skill is so important. Yeah. Mental outlook. This is your mindset leading up to and during performances. Before you even go on stage, you should tell yourself that you can do this. You have to believe in yourself. Your number one fan should also be yourself, you know?
Yes.
Because if you don't believe in yourself, you'll definitely have a suboptimal performance. So you really have to believe in your abilities and in your talent. And also in mental outlook, this is how you talk to yourself while performing, especially when things are not going well. Most of us are too hard on ourselves. Most of the musicians I know, sometimes we say things to ourselves that we don't say to our friends. Yeah. So
Yeah.
always remember to be kind to yourself. I can see my husband looking at me and like, Are you really doing that? he has seen my breakdowns, a lot of it. Yeah. Before I perform and after a performance. So yeah, be kind to yourself. And also, mental outlook is how you expect your performance to turn out. As I've said a while ago, you should imagine that you will do well in your performance. But if you don't do well in your performance, you have to let go. You just have to let go and move forward. Because if you will cling on to it, then you'll go into depression, and that's not nice. Yeah. So you have to develop an optimal outlook in life by increasing your self-confidence. And you can increase your self-confidence in 3 ways: with the words you say to yourself and others, with the images you see in your mind, and with the actions you take every day. Self-confidence is not an innate trait, and it doesn't just happen. You have to train yourself to be confident in your areas of weakness. So you've got to improve your self-talk. And yeah, you have to improve your self-talk. But what is self-talk? Self-talk is the nature and quality of what you say to yourself under pressure. You have to talk to yourself in a positive and supportive way under stressful circumstances. Make sure that you're not sabotaging your best efforts with your words, because you may have had spent lots of time practicing a piece, but every time you go on stage, you start criticizing yourself, and that is not healthy. You should remember that positive reinforcement makes a huge difference. Every musician should also have to be careful that when a performance is not going well, you should not chew yourself out. Yeah. And we have to be kind to ourselves when we commit mistakes. To err is human. I repeat, to err is human. So you must learn how to sustain positive self-talk under stress. Yeah. You can improve your self-talk by examining what you have been feeding your mind and monitor what you continue to reinforce, because your subconscious believes everything you say. So always say positive things to yourself. Yeah. Like the words difficult and challenging, these 2 words can produce 2 different outcomes. If you view a situation as difficult or hard, it will be exactly that. And you are immediately putting yourself in the position of a victim, and you are arguing for the difficulty of the situation and against your ability to remedy it. But if you view your situation as a challenge, it becomes an opportunity to develop your abilities and improve your talent. So if you argue that it is hard, it weakens you. And when you see it as an opportunity and confront it with courage, it strengthens you. So this simple shift in thinking from describing a situation as difficult to characterizing it as challenging will ultimately change what you experience in your performance. So yeah, believing that something is challenging rather than difficult will make your life a lot easier. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So,
Welcome.
yes, okay. We don't really have much time left, so I'll just ask one question from the YouTube. So, okay. Hi, Stephanie. Among all the performance that you have, which is the most nerve-breaking?
Oh, Sorry, am I still screen sharing?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What was the most nerve-wracking?
Nerve-wracking.
I have lots of it. almost almost every performance was nerve-wracking. Not until I learned the technique of centering. When I learned that technique, when I read about it, most of my performances were smooth. Yeah. I stopped panicking and I started believing in myself more than ever. Yeah,
All right. Is that okay?
that's it. Oh,
Okay.
there's
Well, maybe
another.
one.
Is there another
Yes.
question?
So, do you think the more prepared you are in the music that you will be singing and the more you perform will help you to keep nervousness more in control?
Yes, definitely. The more prepared you are,
Mm.
you'll definitely be more confident in yourself. If you perform a piece that you just rehearsed 3 times with the ensemble, that is nerve-wracking. Like I've experienced that mostly with contemporary music in festivals. We don't have enough time to practice all of the compositions of young composers, and usually we have to study them all, and
Mm.
sometimes we only have one rehearsal. And when that happens, when I'm not so much prepared, I really get nervous. So if you have a performance, make sure that you have planned it well, and yeah, you have practiced it 100 times.
Right.
And that, shall I answer another one?
Yes. So, what advice would you give to someone who tends to mind blank in the middle of the
Oh my
performance?
gosh. Oh my gosh. That's why the process of centering is important, because having mental, what do you call this? Uh, Mental block out. Having that is an attentional
Yeah.
problem. So you really have to regulate your breath, because when that happens, there's a lack of oxygen in your brain, I think. So
Mm.
yeah, do the centering technique that I told you a while ago. Yeah, that would
Yes.
really help to focus on the performance. Just for a laugh.
Right.
Sorry. Do I answer another one?
Yes. Do you feel more stressed singing or speaking in front of the audience like the interview now?
Who asked that question? Does
I
that
don't know.
person know me? Um, Seriously, I get stressed more when I speak. When I have to speak
Oh,
publicly.
really?
Yeah. I remember
Oh.
in all of my chamber opera performances, we usually have a talk at the end.
Mm.
So I prepare I usually prepare what I'll say for the talk. Yeah.
Mm.
So while performing, I'm already thinking about my answer or the
Oh.
possible questions that will be hurled at me after.
Oh.
Yeah. But right now I'm not stressed because I'm talking about a topic that I know would help a lot of people,
Mm.
because when I read about this, it really helped me gain my confidence. So I hope that it would also help you gain your confidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Thank you. I
Thank
think that's
you.
it for today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Right. So please check for the link at our Jesselton Philharmonic Orchestra Facebook page and tune in. Also, if you want to watch tonight's program again, you can go to our Jesselton Philharmonic Orchestra media channel on YouTube. If you like the videos, please subscribe, give a thumbs up, and share with your friends. We
Hey.
have recently created JPO Media account on Instagram and Twitter. So do follow us and give us support. This this broadcast will be on every Wednesday and Sunday night at the same time until further notice. You guys have been great. Thank you all for being part of tonight and cooperate with us by asking questions. I hope you got the answer that you wanted. So be safe, healthy, and keep social distancing. I will lead the prayer to end tonight's program. Please pray in whatever faith you believe in for the COVID-19. Thank you, Lord, for letting us gather and share knowledge through this program. We believe that you will protect us from the virus and let us go back to our normal life. Cure those who are suffering from it and let them be free from the pain. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So once again, thank you, Stephanie, for tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Mr. Ling Yap. Thank you, Stacy. And thank you, Adolfo Timuat also. Yeah, thank you so much. And I
Thank
hope
you.
that you guys will be safe wherever you are.
Mm.
And please keep on doing this program because it will definitely help educate people through music and inspire musicians to keep on moving forward despite this pandemic that we are facing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Good night, and see you all at the same time on our next broadcast.
Yeah, see you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.